Whatever.
Okay, I guess the first thing that I can do is I can answer you guys' question about what this is growing in the tank right here. Okay. In our tanks out there, our major tilapia ponds, we have a series of different water plants growing in the smaller ponds. They work as biological filters for the water. They take out the fish poop, basically, the nitrates out of the water. What we have in this little pond, these are some of the different plants that we use. We use this one, they call it water lettuce. This one right here, they call it water hyacinths. And there's a couple different floating weeds. One of them is called a zola, and one of them is a duckweed. I'm not sure the scientific name of it right now. I will provide that for you guys next week. It's just not on the top of my head at the moment. So all these things that we're growing in these tanks are meant to utilize the fish poop, basically as nitrogen to grow them. And what we're growing them for is a biomass. And what I mean by a biomass is that we're trying to create a bulk of mass that we can grow soil with. So we're basically taking this, everything that we can pile together, stuff from the ground, grasses that we've cut, and we're sticking that in our piles over there and feeding it to our earthworms. And our earthworms are making it into dirt. And so that's what we're doing with these little water beads right here with the fish in it and stuff. So that answers that question. This is the end product. This is a store-bought worm casting from Ace Hardware. That's pure worm castings right there. That's composted material that worms have pooped out. This is some finished product that they do on the mainland. They don't use a lot of stuff in it like we're using. Ours should be far superior to this because we're adding a lot more nutrients and minerals by being aware of what we're throwing into it. And they're just using basically a carbon and a nitrogen ratio compost without a whole lot of thought going into how much elements they have into it. So we're going to take some of this, and on this side where we've been growing things, and we haven't really added anything to the soil yet, we're going to go around and we're going to put a sprinkle of these worm castings on everything that's growing in here to give them a little bit of nutrients. And then over the next couple of weeks, we're going to observe and see what that did for it. So we can use it just as a fertilizer. So that's going to show you guys as we pull it out of these piles right here and we throw it into our main bins, we're basically doing the same thing. But we don't have enough finished worm castings right now to start supplementing some of the plants with, so we're going to use some store-bought worm castings, which is organic and a great product as well. Eventually that's what we'll be getting out of these piles, is the same thing as this. So we're going to fertilize everything with pretty much just worm castings and fish water. Those are our really basic fertilizers, the compost, worm castings, and fish water. Will provide nitrogen, potassium, and phosphorus, and all its trace minerals to grow things with. So that's what we're trying to do, is create out of that right here.
What kind of fish are those in?
These are tilapias in here, and this is a gold hybrid tilapia. And these ones are actually still purebred. What I'm doing is I'm crossbreeding these with another fish. This is called Mozambique hybrid, and I'm going to be crossing this. I'm going to be crossing this with a fish called Niloticus, which gets really big. And this is a female. And if you look on the bottom of her right here, right behind her butt, there's a little spot right here. And if it was a male, it'd have a long thing coming out of it. And if it's a female, it's just an oblong little hole right here. That's where she gives birth out of, for no better terms. So that's one female.
Cool.
That one was a little strangling.
This is another female. And
There he is.
Yeah. Ooh, that one's squirty.
this is another female. So we have 3 females we're going to put in this tank. And we're going to put these 3 females with 1 male. And that will be our breeding tank. That'll be our orange pure stream Mozambique breeding tank. What we'll do is from this tank, as we have babies and they come out of here, we'll separate them. In one tank, we'll do the Niloticus pure, which is the gray one, and we'll do Niloticus stock. And we'll do another tank like this, we'll have them breed in it, and then we'll put all the babies in the top tank there. We'll put about 300-400 babies in one of those tanks. we'll have a biomass tank that filters it and an aquaponics system that runs off of it. That'll be the filtration system for all these fish. And we'll keep 2 separate breeding programs going on. We'll keep pure Mozambique, pure Nauticus, and we'll mix the 2. We'll do 50-50 on them, whatever their gene pool comes out to. And then we'll get a series of fish that aren't quite orange and aren't quite gray. They're kind of like silvery gold, like a really nice snapper. And they'll get about 5 pounds in 2 years period for them. 2 pounds within a year.
So is that the purpose of breeding them, to get a larger fish? Or?
There's a couple reasons. Sometimes when you crossbreed them, you get a higher number of males, which means less breeding in your tank. You can separate and you can stock your tank with either all males or all females, and that way you have a less of a chance of them breeding in the big tank, which creates competition for food. So what happens is the little ones are so much more aggressive, the big ones never get quite the food they want, and everybody grows up to kind of a small, medium size rather than them being able to eat a lot and get bigger. So if they're all the same size, they have the same competition for food, and they seem to eat more and grow faster that way. Or else your tanks will actually become overstocked because they keep breeding within the tank. So that's one reason. But for me personally, I don't mind that because I'm not looking to do giant scale commercial fish production. We're trying to do a little bit and a little bit at a time, so I don't mind harvesting the bigger ones and letting the small ones grow out. I don't want to stay on a major fish harvesting schedule. I want to show sustainability in a small area, and as much as harvesting the fish, I'm using the fish to create them for my fertilizer as well as to make fish for food. So the idea is to have some yellow fish that are just perfectly big yellow ones that we can sell for big money because they're a good quality fish. Maybe that's not the right term, big money or whatever. But also gray, really nice Nauticus fish that will get bigger, won't be as pretty. So there's a few different reasons in it. I don't know if that's the best explanation for it. But to keep a good breeding program going and to be able to bring out different types of fish and isolate them, and then also different people will want fish for different systems. I want to be able to give them Nauticus, Mozambique, and a crossbreed of the 2. So that's kind of it for what we're doing. So I'll have 2 breeding tanks set up. I'll have 2 fry tanks set up. The fry tanks will raise the fish till they're a fingerling size at about 2 to 3 inches. And after we've raised them all to about 2 or 3 inches in there, they'll go into the big ponds at that size. And then we'll grow them out from 2 to 3 inches to potentially 5 pounds, all depending on the time span and how long we raise them for and how much we feed them. And then when we feed them, they'll get a diet of algae that they naturally eat out of the pond, bugs that come into it attracted by a light at night, and coconut shreddings. This is a Tahitian coconut shredder right here. It's basically a little raspy piece of metal. And what happens is we crack a dry coconut in half, and when we crack it in half, we scrape it on here, and we make a fine grated shredding. We take that shredding and we squeeze it, and that's what's known as coconut cream, the fat. We take that and we freeze it and we use it to cook and to eat with, make coconut curry and whatever. We'll be doing some of that in the class here. And we take the shreddings, and that's the main food source for the fish. So it's got a lot of fat in it. The fish have a superior taste when they're fed coconut. They're not fed a commercial food, which is the problem with most aquaculture, is they're basically feeding them dog food. They're feeding them leftover fish waste and corn and all kinds of things that you would never want to eat yourself, but you're going to feed it to something you're going to eat. My theory is never feed the fish something you wouldn't eat yourself if you're going to eat them. So between insects, coconut shreddings, and algae, you have a natural fish, as organic as it can possibly be.